Dear friends, welcome to another episode of The Informant. In today's video, we dive deep into the growing alignment between Moldova and Europe, a shift that Moscow perceives as a direct threat to its influence in Eastern Europe. But before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with notifications on. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. On Sunday, October 20th, 2024, Moldova faced a pivotal moment in its modern history. A referendum on European Union membership, which resulted in an incredibly narrow victory for the pro-European side. Interestingly, the majority of voters within Moldova's borders were opposed to the shift. It was the Moldovan diaspora, particularly those living in the European Union, the United States, and Canada, who tipped the scales. This is a crucial detail, highlighting the significant role of Moldovans abroad in shaping the country's future. Many of these citizens, having established themselves in European countries, view EU membership as a chance for greater political stability and economic opportunity. Yet, within Moldova itself, the situation is far more nuanced. The country has long been torn between a desire to align with the West and the ever-present pressure from Moscow to remain within its sphere of influence. This referendum didn't merely address European integration, it brought to the surface a deep national identity crisis. So, why does Russia view Moldova's potential EU membership as an existential threat? To understand the Kremlin's vehement response to the Moldovan referendum, we must first look at the historical context. Since the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, many former Soviet states gained independence, but Moscow has never fully accepted the loss of influence over these territories. Nations like Ukraine, Georgia, and Moldova are seen by the Kremlin as a critical buffer zone, essential for its security and regional dominance. Any move by these countries towards the West, especially in terms of joining the EU, or more crucially, NATO, is met with intense scrutiny from Moscow. Moldova's proximity to Ukraine, a nation already embroiled in conflict with Russia since 2014, only heightens the tensions. For Russia, Moldova's EU membership isn't just about economics or political modernization. It's a clear signal that the West is gaining another piece in the geopolitical chess game of Eurasia. Vladimir Putin frequently denounces Western institutions, portraying them as decadent, and sees the drift of former Soviet states towards the West as a direct attack on Russia's strategic interests. To Moscow, Moldova is part of a vital strategic zone that must remain under Russian influence to ensure its national security. The idea of losing another former Soviet republic to the West is alarming to the Kremlin. Russia's rhetoric consistently revolves around its sphere of influence, and when even a small country like Moldova moves away, Moscow reacts with hostility, viewing it as a weakening of its geopolitical standing. Russian influence in Moldova extends beyond symbolic or political gestures. It manifests in far more concrete ways. During the referendum, numerous accusations of Russian interference surfaced. Moldovan President Maia Sandu's government claimed that the Kremlin orchestrated a large-scale campaign of vote buying and disinformation. Jan Shor, an exiled oligarch with ties to the Russian government, was accused of funneling millions of euros to sway the referendum results and promote instability. Furthermore, social media platforms were flooded with fear-mongering about the consequences of EU membership, showcasing the effectiveness of hybrid warfare, a relatively recent concept on the international stage that includes cyber attacks, disinformation, and economic manipulation to destabilize target countries. Moldova finds itself on the front lines of this type of conflict. Alongside disinformation campaigns, the Kremlin has politically supported pro-Russian factions within Moldova, such as the Shor Party, recently declared unconstitutional for its illegal pro-Russian activities. The result is a highly polarized political environment marked by deep distrust. Russia sees these actions as legitimate forms of defense against what it perceives as Western aggression. However, for the West, these are subversive tactics that undermine national sovereignty. So, what lies ahead for Moldova? With the referendum now passed, the Moldovan government has the mandate to amend the constitution, making EU membership a strategic objective. Yet, as we know, Joining the European Union is far from an immediate process. Moldova faces a long road ahead, one that demands significant reforms, particularly in areas like the rule of law, anti-corruption measures, and economic modernization. While the government is committed to this agenda, it will face substantial internal and external challenges. Domestically, pro-Russian forces remain a powerful opposition. Regions like Transnistria, a breakaway republic already supported militarily by Russia, pose a continuous threat to Moldova's unity. Externally, Moscow's pressure isn't going away. Russia still has several powerful tools at its disposal, from energy leverage and trade to military force, all of which it can use to try to keep Moldova in its orbit. For the European Union, Moldova's referendum victory is a step in the right direction, but Brussels leaders understand this is just the beginning of a lengthy process. Moldova will need significant political, financial, and technical support to truly integrate with the EU, and Russian resistance will make this path even more difficult. What we're witnessing in Moldova is a reflection of a much larger geopolitical struggle. Russia and the West vying for influence over Eurasia and its border states. The Moldovan referendum isn't just about European integration. It's about the nation's future and its place in the world. Whether Moldova can navigate the challenges ahead and move closer to the European Union remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: this small Eastern European country is now at the heart of one of the biggest geopolitical battles of our time. If you value independent journalism and want to support our work, consider buying us a coffee using the QR code on your screen. Your contributions are vital to help us keep delivering in-depth analysis and high-quality insights. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to subscribe to The Informant for the latest news on the world's most urgent geopolitical issues.